Man, it's turning off cold here. You know, the whole thing with Google is that I'm going to talk about Google, internet marketing, blah, blah, blah. My take on it. The whole thing with Google is that it's sort of a search utility for what the files on the internet, the text and audio, video, pictures, whatever files, let's just call them. It's the kind of thing where it's like an add-on for an operating system, which have either been swallowed up by the operating systems, or like Mac OS X or Windows historically. And in other words, the internet is really kind of like a hard disk, especially with the speeds nowadays and the offerings. It's like another hard disk hooked to your computer that you have to now use Google, and they're by far and away the largest utility to search that with, and look at one of their ads. And in the not too distant future, I think people will see, first of all, that the internet is an absolute must and a sort of a right, and it's a way people get educated and find such vital information. I can see a time where some, let's say Mac OS X, and they tried it sort of, and so is Windows, but in a more efficient way, make it where you can search the internet without a browser, just like Command F on Mac means search all your hard disks, and in that way get around all of these ads and time-consuming crap that isn't relevant. And I remember the first day that there used to be search technology. Google really stole some technology from a company called Alta Vista, and as a person of science and of computers, sort of based my life on it, I remember that day. It was it was a huge sort of let down and drag and everything. The day that Google went from being a scientific search tool based on what you search for being the most relevant, and that only. I remember the day when they started offering ads, which meant if I searched for apples, I would get the person who paid the most money to put something to do with apples up there, not necessarily the most scientific relevance to apples. So, it was a sad day for me, actually. It just showed me how the filthy, stinking, these silly human beings, that the stinking hand of man and commerce had entered into something pure. And at some point, these computers and this data is such an important and an integrated fact of life, and so essential to every facet of life. I can see a point in the future where the people that follow us, our descendants, will look back and just be shocked and scoff at that a company was allowed to make you sort of pay before you could search what is really the equivalent of a large hard disk stored. Even though it's stored remotely, the internet really is like another hard disk connected to your computer, and it's essential. Eventually, everybody will have some sort of a on-board, probably first on their clothes and then implanted in their body some way, a device which will allow you to access this sum total of information instantly and silently, sort of in your head. Uh, and this is all technology that sort of exists and will definitely exist within, and we're not talking 100 years, we're talking 10, maybe 20 years. Look at texting and cell phones and how integrated everything's become now, and pretty soon it just is a matter of convenience. And I don't say it's evil and I don't say it's great. It has excellent implications and horrible implications. It just depends. I think there'll have to be all kinds of new laws passed about who can spam who and contact who and that kind of thing, but it's incredibly useful, and it's essential to sort of the quicker a much quicker evolution of the species. And but it's kind of ridiculous now that you have to, and Google, the way that they can manipulate information, and China won't let them operate there. They immediately saw no way these guys can make anything seem true. They can manipulate information. For instance, if there's just so many ways. As an example, let's say a battery company, and I'm just making this up on the fly as I go, an example that happens every day and exists. A battery company that they want to get all of the battery business. Let's say Google invested in that battery company. They can funnel every single search on the internet that has to do with batteries, both directly and indirectly, to a certain point, a battery company that's selling batteries. But conversely, they can also funnel away all of the possible business of any other battery company from them. And if materials, in order to drive the raw price of the materials to make batteries, so their company does even better, they can bring business to or from. It just goes on and on. It's a never. They literally do control and could control the markets of the world, and they know this and they do this. It's growing larger by the day, but it is. It's incredibly deep. Look up on TED some of the data manipulation, and just search by Google manipulating data and so on. I mean, it's curious and it's interesting. But Google will eventually be, believe it or not, in my prediction, will have to be greatly limited or outlawed, because they could and probably have make sure that some presidential candidate gets elected while another one doesn't, and they can control all this data down to the city level, even the house level of who gets what, even your level, whatever and a lot of it is, let's say you're interested in right-wing politics, you will receive a lot of data that enforces your opinion without receiving a lot of rebuttal material, or material coming from anywhere else. And that kind of thing happens all the time. Or left-wing political data. Anyway, and they can funnel that down to each individual user or block or city or whatever. And it is the information age, But I just find it fascinating, and it's almost kind of frightening how, this is the first generation that really grew up with computers, and a lot of people cry, oh, well, I'm not that computer literate and this and that, but so I don't care about all that stuff. But really, and I gave really bad examples, as everybody becomes computer hip, it's like a no-brainer, and begins to see this information, and the free flow of information, which is sort of what America is founded on, and a lot of the countries of the world are founded on. The free flow of ideas, unrestricted. They're restricting ideas already for profit, and it's sort of evil and it's sort of ugly. But any time in life when I need to know if something is possibly corrupt or I mean, you get to a certain age and you realize this. It's like if, and a lot of younger people follow me and stuff. So, I mean, when you get to a certain age, you realize everything is about money. Even the woman you live with and the person you think you love, it's about money in the end, and convenience and geography and like that. But my thought on that was that the ability to, it's just, what I was going to say was that any time in life, when my mom used to say, or my people who are sort of naive say, oh, the police aren't corrupt. Well, she got arrested like 10, 20 years ago for having a few drinks and driving and assault. It was just totally weird. The cop got into her car and stole $400 in cash out of the glove box, and that sort of changed her mind. So what my thought is that any time in this world when somebody says, oh, this isn't corrupt, or these are police, or this is FBI, or this is CIA, or they don't do corrupt things, that's what they're all about. They do it every day. And so any time in this world when all I need to know that something could possibly be corrupt, and Google is hugely corrupt, but they're breaking laws that don't exist yet. They're breaking sort of ethics more than laws. And as people come to understand this extremely sophisticated data manipulation, there will be more and more laws passed regarding this stuff. Like I said, the Chinese saw right away, you guys can manipulate every single economy and every single aspect of our society, and elegantly. No thanks. In fact, get out, stay out. But anytime that I have a question, if anything is corrupt or it's not fair, and life isn't fair, but if something doesn't seem kind of right or fair or balanced, all I have to do is just refer back to rule number one, and that is people are involved. Of course, there are. If it's not 100% corrupt, it will be eventually. And all you have to know is that people are involved in things. If you wonder if corruption is involved, all the way up to every single president, every single cop, at certain times, they're human beings. Corruption is part of the deal. Greed, rage, anger, pain, frustration, all the negative stuff. That's a happy thought. Overall, people are pretty fair, I think, especially the thumbs on YouTube. The statistics and statistical mechanics behind how those thumbs got there tell me overwhelmingly that people are fair-minded, balanced, and good. And believe it or not, I sometimes do things that get me a few thumbs down. My files have hundreds of thumbs up, but I sometimes do things to get me a few thumbs down here and there, or am too honest and get thumbs down from other users, so that because I realize that people are fair, and they'll go, oh, that doesn't deserve a thumbs down. People who ordinarily would not have given something a thumbs up I'll get 100 thumbs up in a day sometimes after a file gets a bunch of unfair thumbs down. So things balance out statistically, but them damn people are evil. Sounds like that. People are evil, silly human beings. I always like to close everything with something inappropriate, and all my vlogs with something inappropriate and profane. So peace out, motherfuckers. I just love that.